our group will be presenting the finding of our study on the psychological effect of excessive TikTok use among adolescents. So, introduction rise of TikTok. We have all witnesses the rapid global surge in social media usage, and TikTok is currently the most influential short form video platform. It features a highly engaging For You page (FYP) algorithm, which is often linked to contributing to excessive and potentially addictive usage patterns. Why are adolescents so highly involved? Adolescents use TikTok not just for entertainment, but also for information and, most importantly, for identity formation. They spend a significant amount of time there. Yet, this exposure also means they are vulnerable to the platform addictive design features and potentially inappropriate content. Purpose of the study. Therefore, our study is conducted with three primary objectives. First, to assess and analyze the specific psychological effect of excessive TikTok use among adolescents. Second, to firmly link this finding with relevant developmental psychology theories. Third, to gather expert insight on effective management and intervention strategy suitable for our local community context.
The description of the issue is the psychological effects of excessive TikTok use among adolescents. The issue is that TikTok's design is highly optimized for compulsive engagement and immediate reward, which leads to functional impairment in users. That means the platform displays critical healthy activities like sleep, homework, and face-to-face social interaction. These effects are multifaceted. We are seeing risks associated with the mental health, specifically with the anxiety and depressive symptoms, which is often driven by constant comparison and FOMO, fear of missing out. TikTok promotes an idealized aesthetic which creates issues with self-image and self-esteem. Last but not least, the most immediate harm is sleep disruption. Late-night scrolling disrupts the adolescent's rhythm, leading to chronic fatigue and poor focus.
In order to understand the issue, we have conducted an interview online via Google Meet to gain data based on our questions that we have prepared beforehand. The first question we had asked is, from your experience, how does prolonged exposure to short-form content like TikTok influence adolescents' emotional regulation and social behavior? Fast-paced environment and visually stimulating media, like is shown on TikTok, deliver quick entertainment and instant feedback to the adolescents, such as in the form of likes or views on their posts. Adolescents can easily like a certain post and scroll down to watch a new video or short-form content. This constant exposure of short-form content trains their still immature and growing cognitive brain to expect these quick rewards. This leads them to becoming less patient, bored, and even become frustrated when they are met with a task that requires them to have a consistent effort and slow progress. This is what we will call as an impaired delayed gratification. Next is overstimulation. The amount of fast and intense content on the platform can be too overstimulating on their growing cognitive brain and can directly shift the adolescent's baseline arousal level. This can cause ordinary or day-to-day life to feel boring or even dull, which again can cause them to be more prone to restlessness or even aggression when they are not given the stimulation they are used to, like on TikTok. Another common problem that can arise when they are exposed to this kind of contents constantly, they could be easily manipulated to make social comparisons of their life to the life they see online. They may think that their life is imperfect and see the content online as a benchmark of what they should follow or what they consider as perfect. This can undermine their self-esteem when they are unable to follow through and increases their emotional reactivity. With the idealized content they consume on TikTok, they may also feel a need to fit in. During this stage, they will begin to shape their identity so they may imitate the behavior or acts they see on TikTok to be perceived as cool by others. There's also a social expectation among their peers for them to conform to the standards online. If they don't follow these standards, they might be considered as boring or not cool enough.
We now move on to the core finding derived directly from our interview with the expert in developmental psychology. This point provides a theoretical framework explaining the effect we observe. Number one, connecting between TikTok and Erickson's theory, identity versus role confusions. The expert highlighted that adolescents are in a critical stage of identity exploration, aligning with Erickson's theory of identity versus role confusions. TikTok effectively acts as a psychosocial moratorium, providing them with a necessary space to explore and experiment with their identity. Through the platform, they actively explore various interests, values, and personal styles. Crucial, TikTok offers instant feedback in the form of likes, comments, and views which directly shape their self-perception. The immediate social feedback can either reinforce or challenge the identities they are trying to form. Number two, identity challenge, contextual identity and fragmented identity. The expert noted a contemporary challenge: adolescents are forming multiple identities tailored for different social groups, a concept known as contextual identity. There is a significant risk here of developing a fragmented identity. This makes it difficult for them to build a stable and cohesive sense of self. Consequently, adolescents may start merely acting or pretending to gain social acceptance and like rather than being authentic. Number three, social impact and psychological well-being. Adolescents are exposed to constant social comparison with idealized content. They face intense pressure to follow trends and fit in within various digital communities, conformity pressure. These factors can lead to lower self-esteem and heightened emotional sensitivity. The shift to rapid digital communications means fewer they have fewer opportunities to develop essential complex social skills through traditional face-to-face communication. Number four, experts conclusion. The experts conclude that while TikTok initially supports identity exploration, it becomes significantly risky when overused. Adolescents need continuous guidance in their social media use to use due to their developmental vulnerability. The digital world offers a bigger stage, a faster audience, and greater pressures than ever before. Ultimately, adolescents are still vulnerable and require support to successfully develop a stable sense of self.
The third question is what developmental vulnerabilities make adolescents particularly susceptible to online comparison, validation seeking, or algorithm driven content? Adolescents' impulse control and emotional regulation is still developing, which makes them more open to quick rewards such as likes, views, and comments. This reward system they have in their mind is very responsive. So every reward they get, they can give them a sense of joy, or they feel like they're being appreciated. This can lead them to become reliant on that feeling and also cause validation-seeking behavior. In this stage of development, they are also exploring their identities, so they can shape their identities also by conformity rather than their true selves. TikTok also exploits this by algorithm-driven content that keeps feeding them similar content or more intense ones. This could heighten their existing insecurities and even create new ones. Lastly, adolescents have limited media literacy. They have difficulty in distinguishing whether this content is real or is just fabricated to fit their influencer's narrative. So they are much easier to believe the content as it is. The combination of all of these are what can cause them to be more fragile and vulnerable in the online world.
So now we focus on strategy to support healthy digital habit among adolescents, specifically addressing the implication of TikTok and its psychological impact. TikTok has a significant impact on adolescent development. Our focus is not merely on limiting usage but also on building essential skills and fostering a healthy environment. We propose that an effective solution requires a multi level approach involving parents, school, and policymakers. For role of parents, we believe the parental role must shift from digital police to the digital mentor. Parents should guide, not punish. It is vital to understand that reliance on social media can significantly reduce opportunity for deeper conversation and meaningful connection. For parent strategy, we suggest three key strategies for parents. Number one, non-digital interaction. Create device-free time such as during meals or family time. This encourage that this encourage the development of complex social skills including empathy, communication and conflict resolution. Number two, teach self teach self-control and delayed gratification. Short form content trains the brain to expect instant reward. Parents must promote activities that require sustained attention to counter this effect. Number three, safe space for identity development. Since adolescents are actively exploring their identities, parents should support the development of a cohesive identity rather than punishing their fragmented online expression. Number three, role of school. School must focus on digital skill education. This involves integrating digital competencies into the curriculum and actively addressing issues like social comparison and digital emotional well-being. For school strategy, school can implement first, critical media literacy. Teach students how to critical evaluate created and idealized content to reduce its negative impact on self-esteem. Second, digital emotional well-being education. Help students learn to manage pressures such as FOMO or fear of missing out and the need for peer approval, which helps reduce overstimulation and emotional instability. Third, encourage offline socialization. Promote activities that build complex social skills beyond digital platform. Number three, role of policymaker. Policymakers must focus on ensuring safer, less addictive platform. Platform regulation greatly influence adolescent development, thus algorithm control and data transparency are essentially protective measures. We propose two main areas for regulatory action. First, controlling addictive algorithm features like the FYP, drive, endless scrolling, and instant rewards. Regulators should require the limits, reminder notification, and frictions to interrupt continuous scrolling patterns. Number two, data transparency and age verification. Strict enforcement is needed to protect adolescents from data mining exposures to inappropriate content. This includes enforcing strict age verification and demanding algorithm transparency for underage users. In conclusions, effective support requires a holistic combinations of three levels. First, parents focusing on self-control and identity support. Second, school emphasizing critical literacy and digital emotional well-being. Third, policymaker ensuring safe and responsible platform design. Adolescents need this holistic support to successfully develop balanced digital habits. Thank you.
Hi, my name is ALENA and my metric number is A213063. I will continue with the discussion part. For our discussion, we integrated major developmental psychology theories along with expert insights to better understand how excessive TikTok use affects adolescents. First, according to Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory, adolescents are currently in the identity versus role confusion stage. This is a stage where they are actively trying to discover who they are and what they stand for. In today's digital world, TikTok has become a modern space for identity exploration because adolescents are constantly exposed to influencers, celebrities, and other content creators. They start absorbing different ideas of what the ideal lifestyle looks like, whether it's beauty standards, fashion, or social norms. When their real lives don't match these idealized images, many of them adjust themselves just to fit in. Some even begin creating content to seek approval from others. And when they receive likes, comments, or followers, they feel validated and continue curating an online persona. This leads to an identity that is shaped externally rather than internally. Over time, this can cause confusion, especially when their real self does not match the online persona that they created. Erikson's theory helps explain why adolescents are particularly vulnerable, because during this stage, their identity is still fragile and easily influenced by outside validation. Next, we applied Bandura's social learning theory, which explains that people learn through observation, imitation, and reinforcement. Even though the theory was not originally created with social media in mind, it fits extremely well with TikTok. From our expert interview, we learned that adolescents often imitate influencers they admire, whether it's dance trends, beauty hacks, pranks, or even risky challenges. They believe that following these trends will gain them popularity or acceptance. This connects directly to Bandura's ideas of vicarious reinforcement. When adolescents see others being rewarded with views, likes, and attention, the behavior becomes desirable to them, even if it's harmful. As a result, TikTok becomes more than entertainment, it becomes an active learning environment where behaviors are constantly modeled and reinforced.
Next, for the discussion, we use the ecological system theory by Bronfenbrenner. This helps us to see that the problem is not isolated. The microsystem is affected as youth displays time with family and peers. Our mesosystem is impaired when conflicts arise between home and school regarding poor academic performance. Next, the exosystem is represented by the powerful algorithms design, which constantly pulls the adolescent in. Last but not least, the macrosystem validates this behavior by promoting a culture of instant gratification and digital celebrity. For the last developmental theory that we use is Piaget's theory. Piaget's theory shows the platform creates a literal imaginary audience, which is amplified the need for external approval, binding the adolescent's self-worth to likes and views. Next, the information processing theory, which reveals the cognitive harm. TikTok trains the brain for rapid attentional shifting, severely degrading the capacity for sustained and deep focus. This excessive reliance on immediate reward hinders the development of essential inhibitory, control, and emotional regulation. Our study aims to quantify these impacts to inform effective interventions. That's all from me. Thank you.
To conclude, this report examines the psychological effects of TikTok on adolescents by integrating expert insights and developmental theories. Our findings show that TikTok's fast-paced content and algorithm can negatively influence adolescents' emotional, cognitive, and social development. Therefore, parents must model healthy media habits and set clear screen time limits, while educators teach digital responsibility and use social media as a tool for learning. Moving forward, more research is needed on long-term impacts, cultural differences, and effective interventions.
Ultimately, collaboration between parents, schools, and policymakers is essential to ensure that digital platforms support rather than hinder healthy adolescents' development.